Let's bring in Rich Eisen, who did a great job last night for the NFL Network. Their coverage was great. And Rich hosting the festivities. He joins us now. Where do you want to start, Richie?
Oh, gosh, DP. But maybe with that McLovin report that's technically outside the lines. I think that's outside the lines right there. That's OTL right there.
Yeah, you know what? We like the green room. Sometimes I always tell draft picks, don't bring your wives or girlfriends. But, if your mom looks like that, that was good. She was a first-round draft pick there.
But we were hardly in the green room last night.
I know. I like that. No tipping picks.
None at all. Zero. In fact, the only ones on our network who tipped picks were the Colts, Redskins, and the Browns. I mean, we tried so hard not to tip picks, and the first three picks were tipped by the teams themselves. But, that's what last night was about. To be honest, it was about trying to get the cell phones out of the hands of the kids and making it a more viewer-friendly draft. And what ended up really happening is another adjustment that I think the league's going to have to make. It was the first draft right after the new CBA, and Marshall pegged it probably about 8 picks in, about how it was the first draft with the new rookie scale, and therefore teams didn't find it that literally expensive. It was only expensive maybe in terms of draft picks in order to move up. And half of the first-round picks last night traded hands. And what that meant is most teams didn't utilize all of the time on the clock, and because they knew who they wanted to get. You pull the trade, you just put in the pick. And that created a lot of logjam at the commissioner's podium of picks. Sometimes number 24 team was on the clock, and 21, 22, and 23 had yet to be announced because of the number of kids that were there. They come out, they shake the commissioner's hand, they take pictures with their family on the stage, and it just takes time. And even with all that, it was the quickest first round that we've ever had in 3 hours flat by about 29 minutes. So there's more adjustments to be made, but I thought last night was a really good start.
McLovin said that he thought there would be at least 5 trades last night, first round, and it was pretty hectic. And at one point, I'm listening to you can hear over the public address, there's been a trade, and then it'd be a while before we got to the trade. It was just, and you were hosting it, so yes. How much? It's got to be you're landing planes here at LAX. It felt like that you have so much information. You're trying to get ahead, and then you have to look back, and then also stay in the moment. So,
well, I didn't want to, we didn't want to ruin the moment for these kids that are up there and not talk about them. But when when basically Trent Richardson was up there, Tampa was on the clock, and that was a pretty big moment because is there going to be a trade? Is there not? When Blackman got up there, I forget which team was on the clock. Miami was on the clock at that point, and that's what we've been talking about pretty much for the last 5 weeks, when we've decided pretty much that it was going to be Luck and RG3. Where's Tannehill going to go? And that's when that story was playing out. And we still had not yet to hear what was happening with pick 6 and 7, and then with pick 6, that's when Dallas hopped up to take Morris Claiborne. And I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on. So, as a host or as a network, what story are you telling? Is it the one that you're seeing on the screen, the one that's playing out behind the scenes, or that you believe is playing out behind the scenes, or the one that just did come from behind the scenes to the floor that's going to affect what we're talking about over the next few minutes? And again, I think the league will take a look at the first round and see. You don't want the commissioner hanging with 2-3 picks in his back pocket while everything else is playing out. You sort of wanted to play it out in real time. But again, like I said, this is the first time that with the new rookie scale, and teams are just like, sure, I'll trade up. It's going to cost me a 3 and a 4 or a 2 and a 5. Yeah, done. As opposed to, well, can we afford it? Is the kid worth it? That's $30 million guaranteed. I mean, I sort of, again, like the fact that that's not part of the equation. And it is just, do we like the kid? Do we want to spend the picks? Go pull the trigger, make the pick. And it made the first round the fastest ever. And we may even see it faster in future times.
He's Rich Eisen from the NFL Network. Their coverage will, of course, continue tonight. What do you expect tonight? What will be the headline that'll emerge from tonight's draft?
Oh, man. I don't know. I guess at the start, where's Courtney Upshaw going to go? He's one of the few Alabama kids that didn't get picked last night. He's one of the kids that's still sitting out there. Janoris Jenkins, is there going to be a sort of a trade frenzy again? How many more trades are there going to be? Who's the next quarterback off the board? I guess on Mayock's board it's Osweiler, but he doesn't have him at a third-round pick. Does the need push him up higher? And there's tons of offensive linemen and defensive pass rushers still out there. And, if this is supposed to be a pass-first league, you're protecting the quarterback and you're supposed to go get them. There's still a lot of kids out there that you can go get. And that's probably what we're going to hit for the top of the second round tonight.
Consensus with your analyst of best pick first round, questionable, or worst pick first round?
Well, I think I'll start from the bottom. I mean, the most questionable picks, I think, were in the NFC West last night. Bruce Irvin out of West Virginia being taken so high by Seattle at 15. They traded down. They got their guy. And then what the 49ers picked, the kid Jenkins, a wide receiver. A lot of people, Mayock had him 8th best on the draft board. Stephen Hill and Reuben Randall sitting out there. Why would the Niners go and take that kid 30th overall? That's sort of a scratch of the head. And I just think what the Browns did last night, a lot of people are singing praises with the Vikings too, not just because of the picks that they made, but the way that they sort of gamed the draft board. Minnesota traded down, used one of the picks they traded down to trade back up to go and get the safety that they believe they need. And then with the Browns, essentially the Julio Jones trade from last year allowed them to do what they did in the first round this year. Last year, part of that trade, as you know, the future picks that they got was a 4th-round choice this year, and they got a first-round choice this year, and they used the 4th-round choice this year to move up the one spot to get Trent Richardson, and they used the first-round choice this year to go get Brandon Weeden. And those are the two guys that they're going to go do battle with and try and make hay with in the AFC North. And so last year, everyone was like, wow, okay, great for Atlanta moving up and great for Cleveland to get some picks. And those picks finally came out in the wash with some two pretty big-name college football players. We'll just see how they work out.
We'll be watching tonight. Tell the boys we said hello.
You got it, DP. Take care.
Yeah, and tell Eric Weinberger, your producer, that I said I said something positive about the NFL Network.
I'm sure he's listening in because he's part of Dan Nation, and I appreciate your kind words there, Dan. But we didn't show a single and it really made a difference. It really did.
Did the mothership tip picks?
I have read on Twitter that my good friend and colleague Adam Schefter was essentially tweeting out the picks moments before they were coming out, and so that I've heard because I don't, as you know, I haven't seen their coverage because I'm on the air at the same time. Another person who tipping picks last night, believe it or not, Paul Allen, the owner of the Seahawks, was tweeting his head off. The guy rarely talks football ever. Is part of a football. He's as silent an owner as there ever is. And the league's trying to stop tipping picks on draft night. And of all people, I started because people were sending me tweets. I started looking at his timeline. I'm like, holy cow! He's talking about trades that had yet to be announced and players, and it suddenly mysteriously stopped after the 15th pick. I think somebody may have sent a direct message to Mr. Allen.
He may have got shut down there.
So
shut down corner.
We're still working on it. We're still trying to plug all holes, but I think it still was a good night last night, and like I said, a good first step to making it more fan-friendly viewing.
What time's coverage start on the NFL Network?
7 p.m. is the first pick, but I'm on the air at 4 Eastern. So.
But is Melissa Stark going to be hosting?
I don't know if she's definitely part of the mix
Okay,
tonight.
all right. Just wanted to make sure. I tuned in. All of a sudden, I saw her early coverage, and I went, oh, all right. I watched a little bit more of that early coverage.
Yes, I'm sure. It was quality early coverage.
Of course it was.
And then I came in and tried to keep things going. And then she's definitely part of the crew tonight. It's me, Billick, Mayock, Charles Davis on the main desk, and the cast of thousands tonight.
Thank you, bud.
All right, DP.
All right, Rich Eisen, NFL Network.